This is the interview show, the Uniweb's interview show. Hey! Whoa! Arien Skiba, what's up? Welcome to the Uniweb's interview show. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Matthew Whiteside, as always, joined by the lovely Arien Skiba. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really good too.
That's every writer's dream. As long as we get through the day.
It's amazing. Sometimes I just gotta scream to let out the stuff inside, you know.
Yeah, I get very frustrated, and I'm just like, why?
My
characters argue with me all the time, so I'm always arguing with someone in my mind.
Really?
Yep.
There must be a lot of turmoil going on.
Till I started writing, and then they're like, okay, you're telling our story, but do it right, because you're the only one we've bothered.
That's right. They're like little monsters in there, huh?
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to listen to the voices in your head? So you get in the flow when you write?
Yeah, I get no flow. I have to listen to music. I listen to, like, Screamo. It helps me get into it. It's, like, real intense. Sometimes... Yeah, Screamo. I went through a grunge phase in high school, so like I got into all of that, and I still love it.
What is your favorite? What's it called? The Screamo music.
Screamo, yeah.
Can you give me a lyric?
Oh my God, a lot of it's inappropriate.
This is the internet, man.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I could give you band names. I'm really bad with like lyrics unless the music's flowing.
Is it like loud screaming
usually,
music?
Yeah. Good for fight scenes. Really good for fight scenes, yeah.
It's like get you pumped up and...
It's like battle music, yeah. I'm like, listen.
Okay, so you have a ton going on. Tell everybody where you are right now.
So I'm a second-year veterinary student. I have 2 more years left. It's a 4-year program, so this is a graduate degree. So not only am I working on a graduate degree, I'll be a doctor after this. I'm also editing. I'm starting an editing business for other writers. And you can follow me and find me. Excuse me, what'd you say?
You do good work, too. With
Thank you. Yeah, I'm editing you. And hopefully you get me your manuscript, the whole thing. It'll be wonderful. And I do that. It's so much fun. It's really relaxes me because vet school is extremely stressful. So on the side, I can edit. And I also write. I have a debut novel in the mix. It's my first one. It's 110,000 words. So it's kind of a little big. I'm trying to cut it down a little bit. But an agent wants a full manuscript request. I was like, oh, that's awesome. He's like, cut it down to 100,000. I'm like, okay, I'll get on it. And I did. I'm cutting it down. It was 120 when I met him.
When did you find out or hear back from an agent?
Yeah, this is recent. What I really like promoting, thank you. I love. Oh, you can't celebrate.
That's great.
Can't celebrate it until they say hi, because like I'm traditionally publishing, obviously. But yeah, so I really want to impress the agent. So I met him this summer. I went to a conference, and at conferences you can learn about things. This is my second conference. They kind of teach you about like writing and all sorts of things. Well, my editor for my book was doing the speaking, and I was like, let me come stalk you and meet you because I've never met him. And he's like, that's perfect. So I went and met him, and I also pitched to a few agents, and one was like, I like your style, girl. I accidentally creeped on him I didn't mean to. I kept running into him accidentally at the conference. I'm like, God, I'm querying this guy. I do not want him to like think I'm stalking him because I kept running into him. Finally, we got stuck in an elevator together, and I was like quietly in the corner. He's like, are you a writer? I'm like, you'll see me later today. He's like, all right, elevator girl. And he asked for my full request. He's like, hey, I like your style. You're really funny, really cool. So elevator girl, I want to hear from you. Give me your whole book. And I'm like, that's right.
That is freaking awesome.
Yeah, he wanted me to grow my Twitter. I only had like 46 people at the beginning of January. And so I started offering editing to people and doing things for the writing community. And I really bolstered up to, I think 3,200 now. So I was all excited. I'm like, oh my God.
64.
Yeah, 3264. Thank you. So I'm hoping I impress the agent because he's like, oh yeah, once you get into the few thousands, you start having a hold. So I was like, I made it.
Yeah, it's really important now for authors to have a social media presence, like a positive social media presence. Not like one of those, because I see a lot of people out there who think any kind of social media presence is okay. If you're out there just like bashing stuff like constantly, and they don't want to see you like bashing publishers, they don't want to see you bashing agents, like, and I feel like that should be self-explanatory, right?
But really should be, yeah.
Like, let's use our brain.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing for vet school. If you had inappropriate things on your Facebook, or even I heard a horror story from my actual admissions office that said the girl was perfectly fine, but her boyfriend was like bad, and they rejected her because of her boyfriend. It's really important what your presence looks like. Yeah, so I don't post on Facebook. I don't do much other than now with my Twitter, I'm promoting that side, which is completely separate from my professional side.
I know it's interesting talking to you because you're much higher energy than I thought you would be, honestly, because like on Twitter, and I guess you can't really judge by Twitter, but like I feel like if people only knew me through my Twitter, they'd know I'd be a freakazoid, like because I'm constantly like, hey, look at me, look at me. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. But with you, you seem very composed and like,
thank you.
Well put together, which is great. Nice job.
Thank you so much. I really want to like keep it like really concise. One thing that I love doing, I just bought a few writers' books who are actually published, because a lot of my services go out to people who are unpublished, like you, and well, your last one, at least one we're working on. But I bought other people's books and I physically have their copies, and like, I don't know, it impressed me and it felt warm, and I'm going to post a picture later with all of them. I bought 5 of them, but it was incredible and everybody was so grateful, and I'm like, I want to help you guys. Like, I want to support you, and I want to like show that this is amazing what you're doing.
I think it's so important to support one another, because this can, and I've talked to other writers, this can be a very lonely journey if we allow it to be, but it doesn't have to be, right? Like,
yeah.
And I'm finding that through Twitter. Obviously, this has all come about because of the writing community on Twitter, that we don't have to do this thing alone.
Yeah, we really don't.
And we can be so much better. Like the group of people that I've interviewed so far have been helping one another too. Like, that's the whole idea, like a group collective of let's all help each other put out our best work. Like, how are you querying? How are you editing? Like, what are you using for this or that? Like, what routes are you going? Because I feel like there's plenty of success for each and every one of us.
Yeah.
Like, there's not like a limited amount out there that only a few of us are going to get. Like, I believe that I think we can all kind of reach a certain level of success if we want to. And I think success looks different for each person, right? So
yeah.
What is your level of success? Like, what is your goal shooting for?
My goal is to it started out when I started writing as a kid, and these characters bothered me as a kid. They started out as spiders, and then they turned into humans, and then they have dragons with them, obviously, because I'm the dragon vet. So
wait, you said which characters bothered you as a
my main characters. Yeah, my main characters really bothered me, and then it started slowly creeping in that the antagonist was kind of gnawing at the back of my head. When I was in high school, he started kind of coming up and saying, hey, you really need to start practicing, you need to start writing, because my first draft was god-awful. But really, my goal is to have people read their story. I truly believe that they are real to me. I always tell my fiance that this is a story that's coming from a different reality, and I'm listening to it, and I'm telling it, and I'm the only one who could tell it because I'm listening to it. Obviously, that's a little fun that I have, but my goal is to be like, I want people to see them.
Yeah, no, I that's something I truly believe that as well. I think that there's all kinds of sound crazy, but I think there's all kinds of different frequencies that we can tap into.
Yeah, I was like, I'm getting bothered by something.
I mentioned this to another writer on an interview, is like that we're all tuned it just a little bit differently to hear or pick up something just a little bit different, and we all have that story inside of us. I say it's like we're all encoded with a best-selling book inside of us. It's just kind of our job to tap into it every once in a while and try and let it out as much as possible.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really, really interesting. And one of the biggest problems that we as writers go through is the formatting and getting agents to represent us, because we have to go through a lot of hoops to really refine our novels, in a sense that when an agent opens up the first page of it, they don't just go, red flag, and throw it. You need to catch interest, you got to avoid cliches. So that's kind of what I help in editing too. I'll point out something like, hey, don't start a book at all ever in a dream, because it's a cliche. And so agents are like, it's another dream, throw.
Really? I had this idea to write a letter to an agent, basically where I was like reading their mind in a way, like, I know what you're thinking. I'm like talking to them, but it's risky too, because if they're not thinking that, they're gonna be like, this guy's nuts. I'm not gonna read.
Well, one thing.
Plus, I don't think people want to like have me tell them what to think.
well, really good writers can get you to think in a way that at the end of the book you're like, oh my god, like it's magic. You thought this was happening and it happened or something. Or when you read it, you like, I don't know, you get really involved, and that's kind of the magic of it.
Well, that's when I sent you the prologue of my book, that's kind of what I did. Like I'm kind of psychic, that whole idea. Like I feel like I do have, it's like a gift of, it's not even like reading people's minds. It's basically like putting an idea there and then knowing now that they're thinking about it because you impress it upon them.
Yeah, I've seen magicians do stuff like that really impressed me. Like they get your mind and they ask you questions, and then all at the very end they're like, you're thinking of an orange kangaroo in Kansas, and you're like, oh my god, I am.
Yeah.
And it's magic.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and I kind of want to learn that.
We're mind freaks.
Yeah, mind freaks. I love Chris. I went to Vegas. I saw
Chris
him
Angel?
twice. Yeah, I saw Chris Angel and I got pulled up on stage. So
What?
yeah,
What did they
yep. I had to hold a hand of a woman who got sawed in half. But it was
That's
great.
horrifying.
Yeah, it was wonderful. She like
You're sick. You're a sick person.
Listen, I'm a vet student. We cut things open for fun and for a living.
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up, because I told you before we started recording, I used to be a personal trainer, and I trained a lady who was a horse vet. Now, she told me some crazy stories about veterinary school, and one of them that has stuck with me to this day is that on graduation, what they would do is they would cut open a horse, like it was a dead horse. All right, they cut it open. They would get you drunk at a party, drug you, put you inside the horse, and then sew it back up.
Oh my god. Okay, well, that would definitely not be allowed at all, like in this era. Okay, straight up would be involved. Like if it was like way back then, yeah, you could do whatever you want back then. But like they are so strict. Oh god, that sounds terrifying.
You know what? I mean, yeah, it sounds horrible.
I don't think you can. I mean, you'd have to go and get one out of
school.
Well, we do. It's very rarely, but like we get corpses, we get cadavers, and we do cut them open. But like to put people inside, I really don't think they'd be able to get like an 1,100-pound horse in somewhere where they could just throw a human in. I mean, it could, but that'd be some really, really. That sounds like hazing more than graduation.
Well, I guess it's like they're welcoming into the world of being a vet, right? It's like being
you're
birthed.
gonna be born, be born a vet. You're gonna be a doctor. You come out of a horse.
So, you're talking about your main characters being dragons, right?
They have dragons inside them, yeah.
The main characters have dragons inside of them.
Yeah, they're human.
So they're like personas almost.
They're like ghosts. They're like possessed, kind of like a demon. If a demon comes and holds possession over you, that's the relationship.
Are they good demons or bad demons?
Some are good, some are bad, like always. You gotta have some good, you gotta have some bad that are nuts and fun and crazy to write.
I talk about being possessed a lot when writing. Like honestly, like I think we get in different states where we become possessed by ideas and sets.
You wake up with an idea.
Yeah.
It just comes to you. I mean, I had writer's block for the longest time. And then like on a walk, I had an idea and I was like, oh my God. And I started writing this idea. And my fiance was like, I lost you for like 4 hours. You came in, weren't talking, and you went straight to your computer and said nothing. He's like, I tried talking to you. You had your headphones on. I'm like, yeah, I was probably blaring some really loud music. And I got out of the slump. And I'm like, that's, just happens.
Yeah, it's a real life thing. I mean, it's crazy when it happens because I can't even necessarily put words to it, but it is like possession almost of something outside of ourselves. And it's like that flow state. It's what?
I watch a lot of ghost movies too, so I get like paranoid if I see like a shadow on the wall at night. I'm like, please, God, I can't.
Have you ever had that experience? Have you ever had that experience where you're like in between sleep and waking and you can't move and like you're freaking out? You know what I'm talking about? And it's like, it's terrifying, and you feel like there's shadows and people around you. I think that's real though. I think there are like things around you all the time. It's just we can't tap into it all the time.
You ever watch Ghost Adventures?
No, I'm terrified. I'm such a scaredy cat.
Ghost Adventures is hilarious. They're really funny dudes. Me and my dad, we watch ghost shows together. We watch alien shows together. I mean, my name's Arien, but people call me Alien, like in the mail and other things. So I'm like, I knew I was different, so I'm an alien. But I believe in all of that. I mean, if you think about it, we can't be the only ones. There's so much out there that is just like. I always tell people, if you go and lick Mars, are you gonna get sick? There's probably bacteria on there that's alien. You get sick. And I'm like, foreign.
Well, I also look at it as like back in the 1300s, we didn't know that North America or whenever like North America was around, and it was alien to us then, right? Yeah. Until we had transportation to get there. Yeah. And then once we did, we find life. It's like, oh my God, aliens or whatever.
The world isn't flat.
Right, the world's not flat; it's round. It's like, I think the more we learn, the more we evolve, we'll be able to have transportation and ways to get out there. And again, like I said, I think too, it's not just about like life forms of our makeup, but there's life forms out there that we just don't have the technology to perceive.
Yeah. Part of my story is
conversations get crazy.
Oh no, it's okay. I enjoy this stuff. My dad and I we bond over it. But yeah, no, I kind of like, I had a really awesome mentor in undergrad, and like he did a lot for me, and he was really mind opening in a lot of aspects of life, and how like I always said heliocentrism, where we thought the sun revolved around us. And then I was like, it's kind of moved on to now we think the universe revolves around us, and it really doesn't. It's pretty big. It's pretty expansive. I'm sure there's a lot out there. And like I said, I have a creation myth in my story that involves that, and kind of gets into it and digests it a little bit. I put a lot of my biological and like scientific background into my book to kind of like get ideas going, to like not only teach people about some things, but like kind of just open eyes and say like, we might not be alone, and we might be doing stuff. Might be dragons.
Awesome. There might be dragons. Yeah, there might be all kinds of stuff that we don't know about. It's cool because I do the same thing, not on as genius a level as you, because you actually have schooling for it, I'm sure. But I talked to an astrophysicist yesterday during an interview. He's also an author, but we were having conversations about the universe, and in my last book I have my theory about how the universe was created as well, but it's in like a poetic form.
It's pretty.
Because I don't know how, like, I feel like I have to know math to know how the universe works, and I have no idea. I don't know how math works. I know how words work.
You do need to know how math works, yeah. Universe is math. They think we're a bunch of zeros and ones.
It's math and music, right? Well, music is math too.
Yeah.
Universe means one note.
Yeah. You know what? I'm so intrigued about like physics and the space. Like talking to an astrophysicist, I'd be like, all right, tell me all the details.
I was like, I didn't want to talk about anything else. I was like,
me too. I get so excited about that. I get like really into it. I'm like, oh, that's like black holes scare me. We got like supermassive black holes at the center of our galaxy, and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh,
quasars, all sorts of weird things.
Black holes are like, I think our universe is unto ourselves, and like black holes are like eyes looking out, right? So like black holes are projectors, right? But we're seeing the inside of the black hole, and on the other side, because black holes take in everything, they're projecting a whole nother universe, like we do in our minds. Like I come up with an idea and an imagination, and I project it out to my perception.
Right. Yeah.
So I just blew your mind.
No, I mean, like, it's equivalent to, we have like a microbiome too on our skin and everything. One of the coolest things that I learned in school was that if we were all to just suddenly disappear, there would be outlines of everything in our film of our bacteria, our flora, everything else. If all our cells were gone, it would just be an outline of us. And it is so incredibly fascinating. That's a universe all in itself.
What, just like in the atmosphere? It would left like a...
On us, we have bacteria on us. Everything has bacteria on it. So yeah, if everything were to disappear, the outline of the the microbiology of it, kind of like just everything's left and it's just outlined. It's so cool.
It's incredible.
I love micro. And I know how to kill bacteria too, because that kills animals a lot.
Yeah, the bacteria. How do you kill bacteria? Alcohol, right?
Antibiotics. Well, if you're treating, if like it's an infection, you can treat it with antibiotics. You can like sanitize a wound with alcohol and stuff. Just pour some beer on it. Okay.
I wonder what's the name of your book? We haven't even.
Well, I haven't really released that yet to really anybody but my editor. I want to keep it as low key as possible. I don't want to like jinx anything.
We had an author on. Okay, go ahead.
It was originally a necessary evil. Yeah. So then I was like, oh, okay, then I'll work with it. So that's kind of what it originally was, but it's no longer that.
Do you get worried that people will steal your story ideas?
I was told never to worry about that. I actually spoke with an author about like being nervous about sharing material, and he's like, that is so unlikely for people to steal at work, and especially if you met the writing community just as much as I. People post stuff all the time, are so supportive, and I'm reading people's works, and I love it. It's so fascinating. You're not, these people are trying to do good for their own work as well as respect what you're doing too. They're not going to take it, at least in my.
Well, yeah, I agree with that too, but I also think it's like you can steal somebody's idea, but it's not going to come out the same. Like we all have that different voice. Like what my idea of the universe is different, somewhat different than whatever your idea is.
And an astrophysicist.
Yeah, and then it's exactly
got the best idea of the universe. I can tell you that right now.
And there's so many different ways to look at it that it's like. And this was one of the things that I had to get over for a while too, because sharing my work with people at first, I was like, what if they take my great ideas? And this is another, like.
Every writer thinks they have the best idea, and then we also hate ourselves. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it
is. This is garbage. Oh my God. If I could just say a little bit about what you had sent me for like your edit, I was cracking up over like, this is garbage. Like he was like saying that this is garbage. He like wrote. And he was like, I wrote the worst pile of garbage in my life as a writer too. I was busting out laughing because I'll like agonize over a sentence, and then I'll be like, this is garbage. Like, this is horrible. Like, no, I can't write. I'm not a writer. I'm not going to be anything. Oh my God. So.
See, I'm hoping so much that story that I just started working back on again it really touches it really gets to other writers, and it captures the voice of that, like, not narcissistic, but like, what is the word I'm looking for? It starts with an N, but like that feeling of like I can't do anything right kind of thing, and it's just like that
intended
overwhelming. What is it?
Pun intended. I can't do anything right.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. Like for everything.
I capture that voice though, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I just scrubbed 4,200 words from the direction I was going.
And sometimes you have to.
Yeah, this is the first time for me though, because I write completely by the seat of my pants and just like figure itself out.
Well, I can help correct you. It'll be fun. It'll be a journey together. I'll put all my notes in. You know me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do this for Heroic Fantasy Quarterly magazine as well?
Yeah, we were like a sword and shield kind of guy. We like the fantasy and everything else, and it has something. It has to have something wicked going on and going on fast. So when you read in, you're just kind of thrown into the story.
And it's all online?
Yes, it's online. Yeah.
How long have you been doing that for?
I've actually just been doing it, I think, since the summer. I contacted them and I'm like, hey guys, do you need like help editing stuff? I want to help.
I'm bored.
I like emailed.
I have enough to do.
I don't have anything to do. I had a summer vacation. I was bored, except this summer I got to do externships. So, woo, that's fun. I get to go and practice medicine. But last summer I was like, I'm bored. I want to do something. And my editor for my book was like, when I went to the conference, he's like, reach out to magazines, see if they need help doing anything. Sometimes they'll bite back in one bit. And I was like, oh, cool, I can help you guys. And I even edited the editor, the main editor who is part of the magazine. He's like, can you read this? And I was like, yes, I can. And it was awesome. And like, he saw me as a peer and I was like, this is amazing. And so I've been editing for a while there. We just go through a bunch of submissions and I say what I like. And then I help writers kind of figure out what can fix the story.
How in the world do you have any time in your day to do all of this stuff?
Do not underestimate.
Okay, I know, but
people do way more than me.
Who?
Other vet students, they are in like everything, and I'm like, oh my god, guys, I could only like do a little bit at a time.
Well, this has always blown my mind. I have a friend that I went to college with, who is an orthopedic surgeon. Now he was one of these type of guys that could just like would have his hands on everything and he would do everything really well and he would do everything extremely structured and extremely focused. And I've got like I'm just like spinning plates in the bathroom, like breaking stuff. Like,
listen, I'm a clumsy person too. Some people are really, and surgeons are one of them. They're very meticulous in order because you have to when you're dealing with a live patient. So, literally, what they taught us was don't nick anything that has a name.
That's
but if you do, you go there. I meant to do that. Yeah.
You didn't need it. We'll just sew something else to it.
Clamp it shut. And in the science behind it, they're like, oh, if it's a small vessel, you can just crush it and it'll be fine. And I'm like, all right, cool.
This is why I don't.
Well, I get to do my first spay. I get to do my first spay this. What did you say?
This is why I stay away from doctors.
No, doctors are wonderful. I love my doctor, and I love my veterinarian too. I have 2 horrible German Shepherd puppies. Well, they just turned 1, and we have an amazing vet. And she's like, oh, you guys will be out soon enough. You'll be doing this to them. We don't have to like worry about it. I'm like, but I like you. I helped spay and neuter them. And we also sutured their stomach to the side of their wall, chest wall, because German Shepherds get bloat. And if they get bloat, they die. Well,
oh my gosh. This happened to my golden retriever after 11 years. We sent him to the vet because we were away for the weekend. We come back and his stomach flipped.
Yep.
And that was it. It was the saddest thing. Like, still, like, it sucks. I had no idea that was a thing, though. Like German Shepherd, same way.
German Shepherds, big V-chested dogs. And I'm like, as soon as I get out, because I do want to practice laboratory medicine, where I'm going to help researchers do, like, medicine and things like that, like learn how to make new pharmaceuticals. But I am going to have to get practice in a small shelter or small like clinic or a shelter. But as soon as I get people who come in with big V-chested dogs, I'm like, do you know about bloat? Because I did it. And we lost a German Shepherd to bloat, and it was horrible.
Should I get my stomach stapled? I'm pretty big. I'm pretty V-chested.
No, the worst that can happen to us is our stomach can go through our diaphragm. That's like the worst thing that can happen. Yeah, there's a lot that can go wrong. Yeah, I actually have a friend who had that happen. Don't worry, surgery will fix it. You're fine.
Why would it do that?
There's a hole in your diaphragm, and your stomach's like, I could go in that, so it goes in that. And your body does it. Listen, you don't want to be a horse either.
It's such a curious thing, the stomach is.
Well, the body is. Everything can kill you. And if it doesn't kill you, you're going to die of cancer. That's how it goes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yep, if you live long enough, If you're lucky enough.
Well, yeah, because the cells are going to mutate to a point where they just start going on top of themselves, right?
They when they're replicating, they get sticky when they're older. So when they are older and they start separating and dividing, they divide wrong, and then one cell's like, I'm a cancer cell. Let me divide and get everybody else have issues. So, and then it starts infecting, and then it goes other places in the body, and you're like, I'm dying.
I've never seen somebody talk about cancer in such a way with so much joy.
Yeah, listen, I like oncology. If I probably would do a little bit, a dabble in that. I like the heart too. Vet students and like med students, we are very weird people that are so okay with like everything that happens with disease.
Well, yeah, it's a completely unique perspective on reality, I think, the way you all look at things. But it's amazing to see, because you remind me of my friend who's an orthopedic surgeon, the energy level, the clarity of what you're doing, the kind of things you're doing, and the way you talk about diseases, bacteria, like all that kind of stuff, like it lights you up. I can see that it's exciting to you, and that's
it's fascinating. I saw 101 Dalmatians as a kid, and I was like, I'm gonna be a vet, and I didn't stop. I went straight. I went, academia. I went from elementary to high school to college, and then I was like, I'm getting into vet school, and I did, and I'm like, I'm here now. So it's kind of when you have a passion, go after it.
So you also had a passion for writing. So the passion for, or was it more just the voices inside your head telling you to write, or I'll kill you kind of deal?
I'm gonna not let you sleep at night, is what they said. The passion for writing came probably around when I was like 10 or 12. When I started kind of getting a little older, when the characters started like talking to me, like, hey, we have a story I'd like to tell you, and it would like fascinate me. But yeah, vet med was my first love, and then writing became a really strong passion, especially when I got the ability to write, when I thought I got the ability to write, and it was garbage, and then I had to redo it. I redid my entire I did my entire novel over again multiple times. Because you learn as you go. You write first in cliches. You write first with a little 18-year-old brain, and then finally your brain's like, no, I'm older now. I can help you. You've been through some classes. You know different things, and also you get horrible feedback from people that kind of really defeat you. But you got to build up off that. A lot of people quit. And I always tell you, anybody who is deterred about their writing, I go, it's the stubborn ones that make it. Yeah. People tell us all the time, we're not capable. I was told I was not capable to get into vet school. I was not smart enough by a vet. And I'm like, I am going to go in there with my doctorate and be like, look at this. I am a vet now. When I graduate in 2021, I'll be like, I am a doctor, and you told me I couldn't. People tell you all the time you can't.
You're going to go, how about them apples?
Yeah, and just stick it right on the forehead. Yeah, and it's hard. It's really hard when people tell you you're not valuable. Your writing's not valuable. Your career, you're not going to do it. You're the only ones who could tell you that.
I know I'm constantly looking for validation from anybody to be like, is what I did good? Because I'm like, because if it's not, I can't keep doing this.
Oh my God. I 100% get you. Because whenever someone, especially your writing, because I consider like writing my baby, and you hold up your baby and you're like, look at my baby. And you're so afraid of people going, oh, it's ugly. And you're just like, pull it down. You don't want that to happen, but you need criticism. And it's, I take criticism way better with writing than I do in like vet med. Whenever I have to like do something else in vet med, I'm like, listen, I'm perfect. You don't need to like tell me anything. I'm perfect. I'm like, why do I like that? I take criticism all the time for my writing, but it's just we're type A personalities, so it's kind of like you really want to get into it.
I suppose. Like when I was hoping when you sent back the prologue that you did for me, that you were gonna be like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever read in my life.
Always want that.
But when you did it, I was like, I never want to talk to her again.
No, I gave you like I was pointing things out. I was like, listen, you gotta.
The critiques were fantastic. Absolutely awesome.
It's things that I've learned both from school and from editing and from my editor. He taught me a lot. I love him. His name's Brian Clems. He's amazing. And so you kind of just develop, and it's really hard to, like, when you get your first draft, a lot of agencies, you'll read on their website, they'll go, great, you've completed your novel. Now calm down, rewrite it, and get it back to us next year. And I'm like, yeah, it's a long process. Like if you get an agent, it takes at least a year to get a publisher if you get a publisher. And it's just a long process, and you got to be patient. You got to be stubborn. I always say just be most stubborn.
Well, I think that's what the self-publishing route has been. I mean, there's tons of reasons why self-publishing has been so popular, but I know one of the things that it was for me was a tool to change my perception of myself.
Yes.
Completely. Like I needed the because I was not in a place if I were to spend a whole year trying to get rejected over and over again for writing, because I had been told my entire life I was stupid, not good enough, you'll never put in special needs classes and all kinds of stuff like that. And so it was like for me it had to have been done the way it was, to just believe that I could put something out there that was of any quality whatsoever, and I think it's an amazing tool for that purpose.
It really is.
But
there's a lot of pros and cons to both traditional and self-publishing. I've heard of stories where they blow up and they are fantastic off it, and I've also heard where it's gone nowhere, and then they try to get traditional publishing after they self-publish in their book tanks. Then no agent's going to represent you.
Well, the big thing I'm seeing now with self-publishing is the idea of write 20 books as fast as you can. And honest to God, once you write 20 books, you'll be making $50,000 a year writing. That's the idea that's being pushed out there. I don't know if you've seen this. There's multiple communities about it, but I think what the issue with it is, and I'm learning this, is it takes away from the quality of what's out there. So people are like, well, and that they look at self-publishing and they're like, it's just a crapshoot, like. They're obviously not. They're just pushing as much work out there as fast as possible, and obviously I did mine, and I can't talk because I did my book in 3 weeks.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
you're one of those binge writers where you could spit out a lot of words in a sitting.
Yeah, I do. I time myself, so I do my work. I do my work like workouts. So I give myself a 30-minute window. Seriously, like I'm doing a CrossFit workout almost. And I just have an idea in my mind, and I write as much as possible on that idea for 30 minutes, and I can usually get out 1,000 or a couple thousand words.
Yeah.
But it's not always good,
And that's what like revision is. That's what having a fresh pair of eyes on it is like. What I've noticed, in one of my favorite tools. Do you have Word? Like Microsoft Word? They have read aloud function where it reads it to you. And I found so many missing words where I was like, the word was totally there when I read it. And like you missed that, and that's a red flag to agents having grammatical errors and missing words. You just look so unprofessional. I had one agent on a panel of agents going over first pages, and there was a space after a period too many. And they were like, you need to revise this. And they stopped reading the first page. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's and it's really that serious. I mean, agents are getting bombarded.
There's so many writers out there. They can't spend time on the ones.
It's just incredible the amount of, because everybody wants to write. Everybody. There's a lot of people out there, and I always want people to really make sure that when they are sending it to an agent, that it is the most polished thing that you've done. You've looked over it and you've went through it, you've rewritten it, you've thrown it away, you reread it again, and it's perfect. You're like, all right, still hate it, but it's gonna go.
Still sucks, but I guess I'll put it out there.
I really honestly don't think we truly love our work until it hits, until you go, that's the story that needs to be told.
Yeah.
My antagonist started out as an evil guy, like super evil, doing evil things. Not that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
they end up writing themselves almost. That same thing happened to me in my book. The guy who I planned on being the evil character turned out to be like the father figure.
That's awesome.
It was just like, well, I guess he's I'll
have to do that. They do. Our characters really do stand up and say, hey, listen to me. I'm not going to do that. And that's very important to making fluid characters that do develop and that never break character. You always want your character to be the guy who he is on the inside or who she is on the inside, and then when they break character, you're kind of like, that's not good. They would never do that, and you know they would never do that.
Right.
So
there's the difference between a character's development and a character completely going off course.
Yep, just because it's convenient. Yeah, and that's a lot of things that I look at too. I mean, there's a lot to look at in a story, and like not only just structure, formatting, grammar. There are plots. You need to make sure that there's no holes. You need to make sure that it makes sense and that your character is learning something, and that the audience isn't frustrated with you. You do not want your main character to be the audience. You want your main character to be in the world and understanding things. You don't want to explain things. You want to show things. So one of the biggest writing errors is telling rather than showing.
Yeah, telling, not showing. So much stuff. Wow. I'm interested in your process, in your writing process. How often how much time do you spend a day writing? A week or what? Like, how do you go about your whole writing process? Do you write daily?
I try to. If I don't write daily, I'm editing. I get in when I can after I study. Kind of what vet school likes to do to you is throw like 100 things at you and sees what sticks. Most of it falls off, but they're like, all right, have fun with that, and let's have a test every 2 weeks. And yeah, it's only 60 questions, so you could fail that easy. And so after I go through and learn, I mean, my first exam, I had 120 pages of notes to study, and it was a lot. So after I do that, because I have to watch lecture, I have to go to lab, I have to read and study and actually choke down this information. The little time that I get is late at night, and I edit. I do Twitter. Or I do write. I haven't touched my manuscript in a while because my editor's working on the last 8 chapters to polish it, and after that I'm going to send it off to the agent that wants the full, which is exciting. But
very exciting.
Yeah, so I'm hoping, and then everybody on Twitter will know. I'll be like, oh my God, guys!
Guess what?
Guess what? I like it. I'm going somewhere. This is great. But, a lot of it, you can't get too excited because it's a lot of rejection.
Yeah.
So I like to be, I'm real about it. I'm like, listen, I've gotten rejection letters and I'm going to get many more. It's going to be okay.
Setting your expectations correctly is important for perseverance. Like if you're expecting to be hit immediately every single time, like your psyche, I feel like, can only take so much rejection if it's it's in the wrong place at the time, you know what I mean, before it's finally cracks and you're like, I'm taking a 10-year break. I'm taking,
I took a long hiatus. My first semester in vet school, I did not touch writing at all, and I was miserable. And because I started editing and going through it, and then I just slowly was like, I don't have time for it. I can't manage my life because of all of this other stuff that I have to do. And you really got to feed it in and work at it, because it does make you miserable when you're not doing it.
Do you like speed read? Can you like take a picture of a page with your brain and then like remember, you know what I'm saying? Because it sounds like you have so much material that you have to go through. I can't imagine reading at the pace that I read. And I'm not saying I read really slow, but like I can't imagine reading at that pace and taking in the amount of content that you have to take in on a regular basis, and like being able to function. Like, constantly doing work, constantly.
It's hard. It is really hard. And one thing that the program that I'm in was really nice about was they weaned you into vet school. You had the easy class, and then you hit into the real class, and it was vet school. So they kind of threw some stuff at you, and then you started learning how to really get involved and really know how to study. And it's about knowing the professor, just like any other college course and stuff. But after you get into the swing of things, which is kind of hard after break, when you're like, I can do anything I want, you really know how to manage. Like I always say, by the time I'm done with the day, I start studying at 5, I get done at 9, and the rest of the night is mine. And I could do whatever I want. Yeah. So You just can't get behind, because you'll get behind fast and you'll drown.
Right. Yeah, and it's so important to schedule that time where you have time for yourself and time to take a break, because
you have to give it, you have to give your characters justice too with it, and really just do as much as you can for them.
Yeah.
Spend time with them, edit, make it a good story, because you want people to read it.
I do. I want to be the greatest author in the history of the world. I have a list of what?
To get your book sent out into space like they sent out music. Yeah, like when the world ends, you want that little rocket ship with the great works of human literature on there. You want your book on it. That's
because I want to be
my eternal goal.
Part of the reason I write is because I'm afraid of dying and nobody remembering that I was here.
And then you haunt people. You're stuck in your house haunting people. The next couple that comes in, you're like haunting them, and then you're unhappy.
I don't want to be a ghost.
I don't want to be a ghost either. I always tell my fiance, I'm like, you die first, you cross over. You should be lingering. You get no regrets.
Yeah,
no regrets.
Creepy.
Yeah.
I've got a list of the top 13 authors of all time hanging on my vision board. And it's 13 because that's all that would fit on the page. At the very top is William Shakespeare. He's got over 4.5 billion copies sold. So I have my own little sheet of paper with my name on it below at the very bottom of the list.
On it.
Yeah, and I changed the number of books sold.
How many books have you sold with the ones before?
Only like 40 something. I published in October and November. Well, no, I'm sorry. November and December is when I published. So the books have only been out 4 months. So I published a novella and then a novel. And
the biggest thing too, since you self-publish, is marketing. That's all on you, because publishing houses, when you do traditional publishing, they do the marketing. They have the reach and everything else. That's why social media is so important, especially for people who self-publish. That you're like, hey guys, I self-published. You want my book? It's awesome.
But it's important not to be like, read my book, everybody.
Oh my God, yeah. Before I met my fiance, I dated another author, and it was horrible because we both were like choking down each other's books, and I'm like, eat my book, and he's like, no, eat my book, and we always clash. And I was like, is this how other people see me? Like, oh my God, like I need to calm down and stop. It's terrifying because you don't want to. I'm sure you could talk an ear off with your book, because I can, and I really don't talk about it much. I keep to myself. The only person I really talk about it with is my editor. Just keep it.
Here's what I've come to the realization of, and especially with the YouTube channel, because this YouTube channel I started doing this a week ago, honestly, like interviewing authors, and I've got 40 plus authors or people.
That's so fun.
Interviews through April.
Yeah.
Like I'm scheduled out through April with this, and it's like it came to my attention that I don't have to chase people down to give them something valuable. The value, like these conversations that I'm having with authors, with yourself and other people, are extremely valuable to people who are starting up in this business and trying to build a career as a writer. This information is stuff that I wish I had. I'm getting it now. I'm getting it now from talking to people. Like, as I'm interviewing you authors, I'm learning myself, but it's like that's what everybody's going to have. And I don't plan on stopping doing this because I think it's a great platform.
Yeah, it really is.
And it helps you. This is how people learn now. The younger generation are all learning through YouTube, and it's just mine.
Well, all social media. Yeah. And it's really important to spread the knowledge, because I think a lot of us are just getting out. Like, we're self-taught most of the time.
Yeah. But that's what I was saying was, it's like we don't have to chase people down. If we believe that our work is valuable, we can talk to people about it without begging them to. You know what I mean? The audience will come as long as we're just true to our art form and true to what we're supposed to be doing. And like just helping other people, honestly, is the best way to spread what you're about. Honestly, I mean, for me,
I found that out too. As soon as I started helping other people out, especially on Twitter, I mean, it opened up a whole new world for me. I'm meeting so many great people. I met you. It's just like, it's fun to.
You say great people.
No, I did not. That'd be terrible.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That would be really terrible. But no, like it really getting to help everyone, especially when you knew you could have needed that when you started out, and you're like, my book is great, and it was awful. So yeah, I don't. My first draft, like if I get really like if my book does well, I would love to publish my first draft and be like, see guys, you could start out horribly and still end up here.
It's so important to realize that we all suck in the beginning.
Yeah, well, you don't know. I mean, a lot of people have natural talent to write, but you're gonna fall into cliches.
Yeah, but the skill. Will Smith said this in an interview. I love Big Willie style, but he said, talent is like God given, but skill is only developed over hours and hours of working on your craft. Yeah. And that's so true. Like I can be a very talented writer, and I can have extremely powerful segments of my book and powerful paragraphs or sentences, but the story falls apart because it's like, here's one, 3 chapters later, here's another one. It's like, wow, there's so much talent in this one sentence, but like the whole rest of the thing is like completely
muddled. Yeah. It gets muddled. One of the biggest things to clean up a manuscript is getting rid of all the stuff that is completely unnecessary to the story. You want to have you can have a little bit of fun every once in a while, but like minimize that to like a few dialogue sentences, and so I learned that a lot because when I started editing my novel, it was I think 126,000 words, and I've since cut off 16,000 per editor, and also I'm trying to get 100K so that my agent's like, look at you're because debut novels need to be 100 at max for fantasy, and that's what mine is. So it's kind of like I'm pushing it, and some people do push it and they're successful, but you kind of just want to hedge your bets the best you can.
But it's all about packing in as much value in every word as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to make everything compact and concise. Yeah.
And that's another thing with like reading query letters and like looking into those, like being as absolutely concise as possible with the message you're trying to convey, and trying to convey that in like 300 to 400 words.
It's impossible.
It's mind-boggling. I don't understand how people do it.
It's really hard, and I've done multiple query letters. My first one was ridiculous. Thick was a lot of words. And then my editor's like, whoa, no. You need to like not do you wrote a book, yes, but don't write a book for your query. And I'm like, okay. So it's really hard to, they're like, you've written this 100,000 word book, summarize it in 100, and you're like, I can't do that, but you have to. And if you do it really well, like I have books that go over query letters and agents' responses to them. If you hook that agent in 100 words, they will be so impressed, and they will read your novel. And they do give you chances, like at the conference that I went, and they did the first page challenge where like you would submit your first page and they would read through it and they would stop like halfway through, or like immediately if they hated it. But they would give feedback, and one of the feedback was like, if the first page is kind of like bad, but they liked what the story is about in the query, they'll continue reading. But if the query's bad and the first page is bad, no.
It's game over, yeah.
I have 300 more documents to go through today. So it's like, not today, but like they get a lot of submissions.
Yeah.
That's why they're so cutthroat.
Have you heard of the book Wired for Writing?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so I've been reading that. It's what actually, it made me go back and change the beginning of my book that I wrote. I just published, but because it's so important, that hook.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, I wonder what's going on. Did I hook you with what I wrote?
I really want to see if he writes the best story in the world. Like, I am so ready. He keeps talking about it, keeps getting interrupted. I'm like, where can this go? So, yeah, I'm very interested in
reading it. It is nuts. The story's nuts. Let me just tell you that. If you've seen videos, you know that I'm kind of nutso. And if I'm not entertained, I'm not going to write it. So it's, from what I've heard from the people I've let read, is that it's at the very least extremely entertaining.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, you want entertaining. You really do. You don't want to be boring.
That's right.
especially with what you're going through.
Yeah.
No, you'll be fine. We'll get through it. You'll get on my edits. It's gonna be great. We'll get you there.
Okay. All right. I want to give you something, or I want to present something to you.
Okay.
I want to get your opinions on it since you are the mother of dragons.
Yay.
I like to draw arts,
Ooh.
and I love dragons. So this first thing, you've probably seen it. It's in one of my other interviews, but this is my dragon dagger.
Yes.
Can you?
I can see it. That's awesome.
What type of dragon would you? Is this similar to a dragon you would see in your story?
So he's a little long for me, but he looks very regal. My female dragon, one of my female dragons, is very beautiful, regal, the ice dragon. So like she kind of has that really like long face like that. So it could be a water dragon. I don't know. I mean, a leviathan, kind of go around with that.
Water dragon. All right, this is something I drew in pencil. Well, I sketched 2 other dragons, and this might be hard to see, but it's because it's on lined paper. But this is my other dragon. Can you?
Oh my God, that's awesome. He is muscly. I wouldn't mess with him.
Yeah, he did some P90X.
He is beefy. I'm like, that is some.
He's got a hell of a tail too. I don't know if you see that tail.
Yeah, that tail is really nice. I can't draw. Like my stick figures are like horrible.
Oh, I'm terrible. This is like I don't know how this happened. Trust me, I have no clue.
That's cute. I like it. Yeah. What is he a fire dragon?
Yeah, all my dragons are fire breathers. I didn't know there were other kinds. I was unaware of the other species of dragons.
I once had a discussion with somebody who didn't believe me that dinosaurs had feathers. And I was like, listen, so can dragons then.
Yeah, exactly.
So my dragons have feathers sometimes.
Well, like the dragon from Neverending Story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and this is the last one. I let my 6-year-old color it because because it was a sketch at first, but so this is.
That's adorable. He's starting to make a green dragon, so like a earth dragon.
Yeah, but it was regularly a pencil sketch. Can you make it out?
Yeah, I can make it out. I like his wings. He's muscly too.
I imagine dragons to be very strong creatures.
Yeah.
They were all. It was a steroid era for dragons.
Yeah. Well, he looks good.
They were all hitting home runs.
Oh my God! Yeah. Yeah, for
so
sure.
I wanted to show you those because you're the mother of dragons. I wanted to get your opinion on what you think of my dragons.
Okay.
What do you think of them? Are they acceptable?
Well,
are they acceptable dragons, Mother?
I would say they're acceptable dragons. Very, very muscly, and I would not tussle with them for sure. I bet they could throw a strong punch.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Okay. So your dragons aren't beefy creatures like that?
They're more or less. I would say more. I mean, I haven't thought about them being beefy, but the one's like kind of slender and more because she's water and more slender like
Is it
that.
More like the Chinese version of dragons? You know what I mean? Like the long.
I do have one like that. Yes. I wanted to incorporate that a little bit because I have 4 that I kind of wanted to go at. So
have you ever
one.
watched Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, I watched that as a kid. Yeah, I had 2 older brothers, so we watched like all the mech shows and everything. We pretended to be mechs, and it was fun. And also, we went crayfish catching in like the woods. I grew up in country, so like I'm a country girl. So yeah, I'm from the country, so nice little wooded area, and it was wonderful. So I grew up as a tomboy. Didn't know I was a girl for a very long time. So I was with my brothers.
Yeah, that's cool. So, all right, your legacy. I ask everybody this question. What legacy do you want to leave the world with your writing?
I definitely want to leave them with a story that gets them thinking about kind of like what's going on in fantasy. This world actually could happen. I made all the processes in my story something plausible so that it could happen and get them thinking about what's out there, maybe the creation story a little bit. And I just want to leave them with a slight sense of that's a cute romance too. So get a little happy story in there. And I really this manuscript, has series potential. I want to leave. It will be 5 books. I want to leave those. That will be my masterpiece. Otherwise, I'll start working on other stuff that I've thought through the years. But this one has been with me since I was a kid. So my legacy is them.
The dragons.
The dragons. Yeah. I wonder what if I do get published. I wonder which dragon you would like. I'll definitely let you know. I'll be like, oh my god, you need to get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
A signed copy.
I want a signed copy.
I'll get a signed copy.
You can send this out to your literary agent, your publisher. They can use this interview for press because it's such a professional, amazing interview.
Thank you.
You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
You're a pleasure to talk to.
It was a pleasure talking to you too. We had fun.
Yeah, it was great. I'm gonna link your stuff, your Twitter and all that kind of stuff, and
awesome.
you have so I want to link the Heroic Fantasy Quarterly magazine too. Is there a link on your page with that?
Yeah, especially like if you just go on and you type in the name and then you just copy the URL in the top. Yeah, that would be perfectly fine. I don't have a link on my Twitter, but since the name, I mean, it comes right up. So if you wanted to do that, that'd be fine.
Is there anything else you want me to leave with the community for you in the video? Is there anything else you want me to leave for the community in the video to get in touch with you, or is Twitter the best way to?
Twitter's the best way because whenever I get people wanting to write to me, I give them my email, just like I gave you my email in a DM. So I like having that a little more private so I don't get bombarded. But whenever I do get reached out to, and whenever I reach out to an author that really interests me, then I'll give them my email and be like, give me something to read because you guys sound awesome.
Awesome. Great. Arien, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining me on the UNOWeb interview show.
Woo!
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Yo, let me ask you a question. You like this video? Huh? You like it? Was it good? Was it good? If you did like it, please subscribe. Thanks.